We'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Rick.
Here.
Ralph.
Here.
Joe.
Here.
Mary Jane.
Here.
Nick and Jeannie are absent.
I need a motion to accept the minutes from the November meetings if there are no changes or additions to the meeting. Matt.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Second.
Roll call.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the warrants, payroll, time sheets.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the transfer of police revenue from general fund to police fund. What's this $225, Jamie?
That's how much
That's
it
it?
is, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to transfer one. Second.
Roll call.
Joe.
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Approve the police fund monthly operating funds transfer.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Ralph.
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Need to approve the interest transfers.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes. Okay, that brings up Susan Box.
Thank you very much.
I answered lots of things. Some of them aren't very nice either. Basically, I'm back this evening to kind of talk about the Washington Street project that I've kind of like put a little monkey wrench in the last month. Since then, Rick basically called me and said that after looking at the finances, you guys thought there was probably $65,000 that could be set aside towards the project. So what I did was I took that $65,000 and tried to kind of fit it into what can we do with it based on the match that we would have. So I'm going to kind of give you a sheet here that kind of has that information on it so that you can kind of look at it and see what we can do. I think you'll be hopefully be pleasantly surprised of what we can accomplish. I've got a couple ideas of how we can try to put the East Main Street project in this as well. But first, before I go to that, I will let you know that about a week after I was here last November, or last month, I got an email from Ohio Public Works Commission wanting to know where you guys stood and the fact that your project was supposed to be done. So I tried to call Linda Bailiff. We traded some phone calls. She said, hey, can you just send me a letter or something telling me what's going on? So I basically sent her a letter that kind of went through, the fact that you had passed an income tax ordinance. There had been a referendum filed. The referendum had passed. You came increasingly concerned about your ability to use the local match committed to the project and be able to maintain present community services, that you placed the project on hold. You began a campaign to educate citizens about the income tax. You introduced a new income tax ordinance and you passed that, and it went into effect on October 1st. And with that turn of events, that you felt like you could move forward with the project at this point since you were in a position to know that the income tax was in place. And so I proposed a revision to your schedule, which basically said we would have construction done by June 30th. If we decide not to move forward, it's not a big deal. We just tell them we don't want to move forward. But as of now, they've approved the schedule change.
Right.
And so we're good to go
That's
for
good.
trying
That's
to
good.
move forward if you so desire. If you don't, we just tell them we don't want to, and this letter doesn't mean anything. But here's a copy of it for your records of what they have, and they've already approved it.
Satisfied and keep them all.
Right, and they're happy and they understand, and I felt like it was better to just get some time, and then we'll figure out what you want to do, and if the answer is no, then fine, it's no. But if we want to move forward, then we've kind of got some dates there that we need to try to adhere to as best as we can. So basically what you have in front of you is what I'm proposing. the $65,000 of match will basically garner you $167,140 of Public Works money, which basically gives you a total budget of $232,000. If we do the tree removal, the sidewalk removal, the curb removal, we put all the sidewalk and the curb back. There's a little bit of drainage work that was proposed down at the south end, which I don't really know whether we need to do that or not till we get into this a little bit, so I included that. As well as putting a wedge back for the curb. We can accomplish all that for around $187,000, which is basically well under the 232. And I think it'll basically do everything that you wanted to do, minus the water line. And in 2016, ODOT will come in and mill and pave.
I was going to ask you about that, when it's going to.
I talked with ODOT about it. I did talk to District 8, because I was going to see if it was originally 15, I was going to see if they could move it up a year. They actually had to move it back a year to 2016 because they're short on money. So your 2015 paving is now actually going to take place in 16. So with that being the case, I felt like even if we had to wedge it in for a few years, they're going to come in, mill and pave it, then it's going to look all brand new anyway. The majority of that area, if there's cars parked there or whatever, you're really not going to notice the wedge. It's not that ugly. I mean, but you get the main part of it done that they're not going to do for you, which was, get it cleaned up, get the trees down, get new sidewalk, new curb, and then
We
they'll...
did that on Walnut Street, if you remember, when we...
Yeah, that's right.
We did the first block, and then we got the grant, did all of it.
Okay, that's right, then we paved it.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing is that we do that part of it, and then we come down to East Main Street and pretty much kind of do the same thing. Get rid of that ugly sidewalk, put in new curb, put the wedge back in, and even though that project, we have 41,000, even though that project is 69, what I'm proposing that we do is we design it all under the Washington Street project. You have one contract with us for Washington Street. We design Washington and East Main. When we bid it and maybe move a few of the line items or some of the quantities, since they're all the same kind of quantities. We have two contracts because you've got the county money and you've got Public Works money, and maybe some of the quantities from the East Main Streets actually appear in the Washington Street project. And then there'll be some of that work that is actually going to be in the Washington Street contract that we'll be doing on East Main.
No, we're not going to run a situation like we did the last time we did county, are we? Where you guys have to bid on, you do all the work.
No, because it's through Public
It
Works.
ends up
Public
going
Works
through-
Public Works will have all of the engineering contracts, so we won't have. As far as I know, I told her that that's what we were proposing to do. She wasn't real happy with the fact that we weren't doing any paving. And she asked if there was any chance that we would, and I said, well, if the project would come in under budget, probably the paving of East Main Street would be the first thing we would put back in, because obviously you can get the paving on Washington Street through ODOT that you can't get from East Main Street. It's just delayed a little bit. And I said it would basically depend on how the bids came out, and I couldn't really give her an answer for that right now.
Which we've been pretty lucky the past few years.
Yeah, and the bid market is still very depressed right now. I mean, I did bid a little $50,000 job about 2 months ago, and I got 10 bids on a little $50,000 job.
Sure.
So, I mean,
What's the conduit, 4,000 conduit?
that's that was some storm sewer, and it was kind of down there in that south end and the catch basin, and I think there was like, maybe, I don't even know what's down there for sure, and it was something we put in there. Part of it was because, if you remember, in order for us to get some points, we had to have some drainage in here.
Oh, yeah.
And we threw some drainage in there and decided we'd see if we needed any drainage or not when that time came. So it's kind of one of those things that I don't really know what we need to do down there, and if we even need it.
We put that box in, we brought that down in that one corner, Federico's.
That's what I was thinking, and there was something down
So it
there.
wouldn't drain across.
Yeah, we
into
was
the
up
structure.
there,
Yeah, and then we was going to do just what we're talking about, go from there back to the creek.
That's what I was thinking, that there was
That's what
something we were
was
doing
going
down there on the
Yeah.
south end, and we put
Yeah.
that in there
Yeah,
for
that's
that
what we did.
purpose.
Yeah.
Plus, we kind of needed some drainage to get those drainage points when we did the
Yeah.
application itself.
Yep, yep.
So basically, this is kind of what I'm proposing, which I think gets us the majority of what we wanted, other than probably the water line, at the end of the day.
Well, we could critique this a little bit too as we go along,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Yeah, and and there could be, obviously, as you can see, there's some extra money in here anyway.
Yeah.
That, as we go through this, we can add some things back in, but I just wanted to show you, this is kind of the money we have. This is what I project, the stuff that I'm proposing that we do. The only thing that I left out of the Washington Street was the paving, the milling, and the water line. So,
Everything that
yeah, and everything else is still there. And basically the same thing with the East Main Street. The only thing I left out there was the milling and the paving.
Good.
And everything else is there. So I guess that's kind of what I'm proposing that we look at to do to move forward with. And, it may end up that if, we get to that point, maybe we don't use all the 65, maybe we do something a little more. So if you want to use all the 65, I think some of those questions we're not going to be able to answer till we've got some bids in hand.
Right.
So, the schedule that...
Which means come spring,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hot.
The schedule that I proposed would be, basically I had designed from July of last year, but that's because of the way it was, through January, and then trying to bid it in February with construction to start in March. And then by taking it through June 30th, it keeps us within that original 2-year period of when we got the grant. And the general rule of thumb is, or the unwritten rule, is that they really want you to spend the money within 2 years of the time that you get it. So that's kind of what dictated the schedule a little bit, because I felt like as long as we were within that 2-year time frame, they really couldn't say no. So that's kind of, and by June 30th, we'll have, we're not really going to have that much paving other than the wedge. Most of that's handwork. The paving, companies will be open by then. They'll be making pavement. So, I think we'll be okay there as far as that goes, time-wise. So that's kind of what I'm proposing. That's kind of what I'm thinking time-wise. So I guess it's really a matter of what questions you guys have, or what your thoughts are.
I think it looks good, just to inform the audience. I know originally we talked about cutting this until we found out last meeting that we was able to do part of the project without having to do all the project. And the BPA didn't have the funds to do their part of it. This project comes out of the street department fund. We have the $65,000. We've already allocated the money has already been allocated out of the budget for this project. So, and street department fund is one that's replenished every year. And it's one of the ones that we have money in, but we can't take money out of it and put somewhere else other than streets or for the street department. So, just to let everyone know that we've got the money set aside for this project. On that, I would make a motion that we move forward with the Washington Street Reconstruction Phase 3 project and to allow Moten Associates to put the bids out there for this project.
I'll second that.
We need to make a motion for both, because we're going to move forward with both, right?
They're all
Yeah, they're all together. You second it, Mary Jane?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on that? Ralph?
The only question I have is the water line.
Mhm.
You said BPA didn't have the funds to be able to help with this, with that part of the project.
I talked with Jeff, and he was the lines, there's about 90,000, your part was going to be,
I think it was like 120,000.
90,000, no,
No, it was
it
like 24,000.
24,000.
Oh, their part of it.
There seemed to be some concern about financing there, and the section of water that we're talking about is from the Dairy Queen Bridge to the Federico on that side. I checked with Jeff, and there's been no issues with the water lines there. And several years, 10, 12 years that anybody can recall, so I think we're probably okay there until we do the street, and we'll have a problem. But that always happens. But in order to budget, 65,000 was the magic number. I cut the paving, I cut the milling, and I cut the water. And then I told Susan what we had done, and she said, here's the number we can part of that water back in the day, I think we threw that in there again to get points and stuff for this original project. It was something, that's the only section that was not done when they made the loop originally. And there's been no issues there. Hopefully, there won't be any issues there, but it's to achieve the magic number. That's about the only thing. And after talking with Jeff, we felt like that was the secret to it.
Their share was actually 37,000, because we had 97,000.
Yeah, 97,000, 55.
They had already done the.
Oh, that
22.
over on Hutton.
Also,
right?
yeah, there was another $22,000 in that.
You're
That
correct.
had already been done by BPA up there on Hutton, that went underneath the bridge, the water line under the bridge. See, we had $22,000 into that bid for that, and that's already been taken care of from BPA for, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 or whatever it was. I don't remember now exactly what it was. So there was a big chunk there that came out of that too, so. So putting all those numbers together is how we arrived at that 65 number. And that way, I knew that the street department could fund this project without anybody, other assistance from anybody else. So that's how we arrived at that.
If there's a case in the future when you get started with this project, there is monies in the BPA, can that go ahead and be worked in? Oh, sure.
Yeah. The grant money's still there. Basically, what's going to boil down to is you got a $250,000 grant. So basically, what's going to happen is we're going to give the difference between 250 and whatever we end up using, and if we use up to the 65, that'd be that 167. So we're going to give, $140,000 back.
We have to match, our match is 26% of that, whatever we do, so that's how we arrived at the magic number of 65. And we have that in street, and then we have 17.5 in state highway fund that we can throw in on that, and that gives us the magic number of 65,000. And there again, the state highway fund can only be used
Right, for that.
in streets, so.
See, that's the hell of it, Rob.
Yeah, I realize
You
that,
could be going broke and have $1 million in that fund, you can't use
Yeah,
it.
we can have $1 million street park fund go under the town, because the only way you can do it is you gotta go to court and ask the judge to allow you to transfer the money.
And that has to go from the state.
Crazy.
What I was getting to the beginning on the water, I do know that since this project started out, there has been an increase in the water rates. Didn't know whether that would help any, whether BPA is even.
Well,
thought about that.
unfortunately, in time restraints, I didn't get a chance to talk to the board, but I did refer with Jeff about the
And
possibility.
I didn't know that was
of
before a
there.
rate increase or since a rate
This
increase.
was 3 weeks ago when I talked with Jeff,
Okay,
I called
rate
Steve after
increase
the last
has already
meeting,
been
and
put in place.
so,
Just checking.
and moving the timeline along there,
Right,
so,
right.
yeah, but it's gonna always be, something to look at if we get there and we get forward, so.
Good, okay.
That would be something that we couldn't like do the project and then go back and do the water line.
Right, right.
Well, I guess we kind of could, because we'd be digging up
There's
the
still-
street and we're not
there's
paving it
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
so I guess we
right.
could.
Yeah, as long as you don't have the paving done, you ought to be able to
Yeah.
work with it,
Yeah. But it would have to be done before we closed out the grant.
Right, correct.
And I was wrong, it was $90,000 we'd get back. Not one.
There's a
Okay,
motion.
there's a motion on it. Mary Jane has a second. Okay, roll call.
Rick,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Here's the sheet that you need to sign that authorizes the engineering with the Ohio Public Works Commission. You need to
Show me,
sign it.
show me.
Right there. Okay, right there. If I didn't send anything into them, even though you signed the contract, I didn't send anything in until we kind of knew for sure.
There's a further.
Yes, it is. And I'm hoping that, you're at 12. What did you put, 13?
3.
2003?
Wow.
And this will probably happen fairly quickly, simply because I want to get this bid shortly after the first of the year, like February, March, when the bidding time is the best. Because the better time we can bid this, the better numbers we get, the further the money goes. We've been down this road before, so it's nothing you haven't heard before, so. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank
Unless
very,
you need
very much.
anything else from me? Okay?
Do your magic.
If you don't have any problem, I'm going to skedaddle because I have another meeting to go to.
All right, I figured you.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Have a Merry Christmas.
Okay, you too, thank you.
Okay, see you. everyone knows that Jeannie Davies has had some medical issues. She's now in Vancrest, and she's already missed the required meetings, number of meetings that you're allowed to miss. So I would like to vote from the council to have Jeannie Davies removed from council.
I make a motion that we replace the seat of Jeannie Davis on council. She has missed 4 meetings. We've had no contact from the family stating otherwise, so I think it's time to move forward.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mary Jane,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Okay, also with that being said, I do have another individual that I would be interested in appointing into the council. I think she would make a very good asset to this council. Her name is Kim Fields. She is a counselor, finance counselor at Miami University. She's also very big in the sorority. What's the name of the sorority, Jane? What is it? Come on.
That one?
That other sorority. And she's heavily involved in with the schools and so forth, and I think she would be a good asset to this council. And with that being said, I'd like to appoint her to fill that position.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
I'll get hold of her and we'll swear her in, and then you can give her some time to work with her and get her set up for the January meeting. All right. Next is the committee report, safety. Chief?
The police department handled 88 calls for service in November. We took 15 reports, made no arrests, issued 9 citations, 14 warnings, and impounded 1 vehicle. That's down quite a bit from the month before. We're usually up over 120, 130 the last few months, so we're glad we're slowing down a little bit. And a couple other things that I got listed here is East Cherry Street. Ralph, you guys mentioned last meeting about speeding cars out through there. We have been running radar rod out through there at least 20 minutes a shift just to see what the cars are doing and stuff like that. And, we also put up 4 speed limit signs out through there within the last week. Most of the cars we're getting are ranging, if they're over the 25, they're between the 25, 35, something right along in there. So a couple of cars that I stopped, they just thought it was 35 mile an hour through there is what they're telling me. So we put some signs out through there. I've also been in contact with EPD about maybe getting their speed trailer and bringing it down and setting it up a little bit to make them aware of what the speed limit is through there. But we're working on that a little bit, so hopefully we'll see an improvement there. So
Well, I appreciate that, and I have noticed the signs, and I also wanted to tell you that it is helping a little bit. Overall, I've noticed a different picture now than what we had before the signs were erected, so what you're doing now seems to be getting some attention, and to continue on working with that issue, I think it'll get down to a reasonable thing. Appreciate it, guys.
stay on that for a while and see what happens
Yeah,
there.
okay, thank you.
Also, I wanted you all to know I do have a resignation from Officer Steve Gillen. Steve's been having some issues here at the department and also some issues at home. I sat down with him last week and we discussed some issues that was going on here, and he informed me of some other issues that he's having that's, nothing that we need to talk about here, but he did call me today and submit his resignation. So he is officially done. I would like to bring Clay Hurd up from the auxiliary position to the paid part-time position to fill his spot. Clay will be on 6 months probation starting tomorrow, if that's okay with you guys, to fill Steve's spot. There won't be any additional money spent, it'll just be taken over what Steve would have been making.
Any questions, comments, the chief on that?
Will you fulfill Ben Hurd's position with someone else in the future, or you'll leave that empty for a while, or how does that work?
We currently just put on another auxiliary officer here within the last couple of weeks. They don't get paid anything.
Right.
So we have one extra get good candidates, we'll put them on, they don't really do a whole lot unless, somebody calls in sick or something like that. And the guys we have now, they never call in sick. So these guys don't get much work, but yeah, if we get a good candidate, we
Sometimes it's just present snow,
Right.
Right.
Was Steve still on the low end of the pay scale, or?
Yes, because we haven't had any pay raises for 4 or 5 years, so.
I'm sure that Clay wasn't going to start out at a.
No, Steve
elevated
made
pay raise.
$8 an hour, and that's what I suggest we start to play at.
Sounds reasonable. Make the motion to accept the chief's driver's plan.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph,
Yes.
Mary Jane,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Okay, now, do we need to do this, Jane? Is this the right one here?
And
Where's it at?
what are you talking about?
The additional
Go ahead and do
transfer.
the Additional
About
transfer.
transfer, well, you just have to do that, and then you can request the certificate. You don't have to do that by resolution.
Okay, well, I don't know how much it is. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Neil wasn't here for the special meeting. We did 10,000 on a special meeting last month for a resolution. I don't have the number. Do you have the number, Neil?
That's what it's like, or something.
And then we need to do those.
That, we just, what you do is you
10,500.
you transfer it, and then you request the amended certificate by resolution.
Oh, okay.
That's what you do.
You need to make it.
So I'll make a motion that we transfer out of the general fund the additional revenue needed to fulfill the year under the police department. And the number is 10,500.
Five.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Ralph?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Okay, now, we need to,
Now, this is doing that, requesting the amended certificate, and taking the $250,000 grant off this year's budget and putting it on next year's budget, because that's when we're going to do the project.
project.
And
Got
it
that?
is Resolution 08.
I'll make the motion to pass resolution 08 in regards to transferring budget money meant for the project from 2012 to 2013.
And request this.
Request the certificate.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Rick?
Yes.
Now, do you sign this anywhere? Okay. Go ahead and sign this
Yeah,
back here.
just sign it.
The side of it. That take care of the police department now? Chief, you have anything else?
No, we might just kind of explain that, that money was budgeted
Yes.
at the beginning of the year, and we decided to withhold it to see if we would need it,
So
so.
this is not an additional, this is just money that has to be transferred in order to cover the bills until the end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Building committee,
Nothing.
streets,
Only thing on streets is that we'll be taking the leaf box off this week if it's not already off, so leaf collection is going to be over. If he still has it on one day this week, he's going to be pulling that, so just so the public knows that this is the last week we pick up. Other than that, I don't have anything.
okay, lights,
Line up at Washington and Main, has been fixed there on that corner. As far as I know, that's the only one we have an issue with at this time. Or if somebody has any, can let me know, or
It has been fixed.
it has been fixed. I double checked it the night before I came down here. It's working properly.
Finance Committee, Joe?
I don't have anything, we're gonna have to have a finance committee, meeting, you know, whatever is best for you. Decide on.
Sometime next week.
Something about it today, so. Just let us know when you will take room for
I'll
it.
get with you.
Sanitation, Mary Jane?
Nothing.
Okay. Planning? Nothing at this moment. BPA, they haven't filled Linda's position yet, but they've got a couple people in mind. So as soon as they make up their mind, then we'll move ahead with that. Okay, resolution orders, resolution 2012-08. We already did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, what am I thinking? Okay. Okay.
Well, now, you requested a certificate, but the other one with all the figures on it is the
This one?
appropriations. Now,
Okay,
so that'll be 09 action.
yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah.
Resolution 2012-09. Be it resolved by the Council of New Paris, Polk County, Ohio, resolution of approval to realign the permanent appropriation resolutions by modifying the following appropriations from one account to another within the fund. And you see the funds there, so listed.
And that is just within the fund, not
Right.
adding any money,
So
taking away.
it's a yearly thing that we have to do, so I make a motion that we accept the resolution 2012-09.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph.
Joe?
Ralph,
Oh,
Ralph.
I second.
Okay. Mary Jane?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Now, is that it, Jamie?
Yes. Well, that one from Charlie Biggs about the mitigation for,
One of the public entity school also.
well, that doesn't have to be an
Okay.
ordinance or a resolution, that's just a recommendation.
Yeah, resolution number 2012 dash, what is it? Jamie?
10.
In the matter of resolution of adopted in February 2012 Polk County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation 5-year plan update. Whereas the Polk County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency desires to be compliant with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 and the 44 CFR Section 201.6D3. Said act requires that a hazard mitigation plan meeting program criteria be developed in order that the participating Polk County communities and townships will be eligible for future pre-disaster and post-disaster mitigation program funds, hazard mitigation grant program, flood mitigation assistance programs, and so forth. Further, the mitigation planning regulation of 44 CFR Section 201.6D3 states a local jurisdiction must review and revise its hazard mitigation plan to reflect changes in development, progress on local mitigation efforts, and changes in priorities, and resubmit it for approval within 5 years in order to continue to be eligible for mitigation project grant funding. Whereas the Polk County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency established the Polk County Hazard Mitigation Committee, and they have, through an organized planning process, identified local problems and mitigation activities to help reduce hazards, damages, and loss of life during a natural hazard event. Public meetings are held, and a countywide multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation updated plan was prepared and submitted to the Ohio Emergency Management Agency for review and comments in May of 2012. Said plan has been completed for the Ohio Emergency Management Association recommendations. Said plan is on file at the office of the Polk County Emergency Management Agency and is hereby formally adopted. Whereas by adopted resolution number 327-09-139, the Polk County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency has entered into an agreement in the manner provided by law. under the Ohio Revised Code as amended, and has the power to coordinate and unify the comprehensive emergency management activities of the participants thereof, including the various municipal corporations and townships of Preble County, less College Corner, Ohio, for the reasons stated in the preamble hereto, which is hereby made a part hereof. This resolution or ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure and shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage by the Commissioners of Preble County and its adoption by the respective legislative bodies of the majority of the other political subdivisions of Preble County. So, you get all that? It makes sense to you?
What this is a disaster fund, like we had a windstorm, how many years ago?
Flood.
That's, they kicked in all that money for cleanup and all that, so this is a plan they have to have in place in order to qualify.
And if we don't put it in place, then you don't get any funds the next time.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 2012-10.
I second.
Roll call?
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Need to wait for free reading on that and declare an emergency?
I make a motion that we waive free reading and declare it an emergency.
Second that motion.
Roll call. Rick?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and sign this. Okay. Next, Bill Gill's review.
I'll have that for you, Council, next month.
Okay. Recommendation, what?
Other means in the platform.
Recommendations from PEP Insurance Loss Control, that's this. Does everybody have a copy of this?
No. There was only the one recommendation.
Okay. Okay, and that is put together a program so that the motor vehicle records of all employees and volunteers who drive are reviewed on a regular basis to clearly assure that those driving have valid license. Okay, the friendly requirement of those who drive for the village and maintain a valid driver's license for the type of vehicle being driven includes such a requirement in job descriptions or the employee handbook, which I think everyone does. I mean, you're doing that anyway, you know, I mean, once in a while you check their license and stuff like that, wasn't
Well, I
there?
think, check the police officer.
Yeah, we don't do water and street.
Okay, okay.
But it would be a problem for you to do that once a year, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I will.
So we're looking for a motion to begin those checks on a yearly basis?
That's their recommendation that we need to do. But that need to be, you know, checked to make sure everybody's got legal driver's license. That drive our vehicles.
And also, we need to edit any employee handbook that we have.
It's actually in our.
It's in our handbook.
Sorry.
This is just a recommendation.
This is a recommendation from the insurance company. So we
Yeah.
sign it and they got it on file that we're gonna do that.
That's what it amounts to.
It helps keep the premium.
Down.
Right. I'll make the motion, we begin to do driver's license checks on street and water employees on a yearly basis. On all employees.
On all employees.
All employees who drive C vehicles on a yearly basis, beginning January 1st, 2013, and annually from that point on.
Second.
That's good, yeah. Roll call.
Mary Jane?
Yeah.
Ralph?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Okay. sent us cleaning supplies.
Yeah, that's just an estimate from Centos.
Okay, they gave us an estimate of $19.05 a month on supplies, on cleaning supplies.
They install them.
I think we can beat that.
Okay. Need a motion to not accept that.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're back to the cold and water dispenser.
I forgot
We
to
tabled
order
that.
water, guys.
We tabled that. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Okay, we'll table that till the next meeting.
This was the issue where we were going to just try to test drive it, see how much
See how
quantity we were going to use, and then maybe we would authorize a compromise where we pay for some water and employees fill the rest of it up with tap water afterwards. Right?
Okay. This is Chris Rodriguez review is due at January meeting. So I think we need to get together and take a look at that. Really, you know, like I said before, we don't know where we're at, you know, with the income tax. Sorry, Chris.
Understand. Next year, you better come up with a different excuse.
Okay. Okay.
Well, look at the bright side, next year's only 30 days.
Oh, that's true.
They outwitted me.
It will come out, it will take it out of taxes.
So there's hope.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I'd like to mention something. I think there's a light down there at the post office that goes out when your light beams hit it at night, that sensor up there. And that where the wreath is out too.
Where the what?
One of the wreaths hanging on the pole is out.
Oh.
There's a couple of those out.
Well,
Some of them don't have outlets.
Oh,
I know there's got a new speed limit sign down there too, near the post office. It went up to 35.
you what now? I didn't hear you.
I said, I noticed you have a new speed limit sign down there at the post office. It used to be 25, DOT put it up to 35.
State come in and did it?
If they did,
I didn't, I haven't noticed it either.
You know, I noticed that, and I thought,
Well,
has that
there's
always
one-
been there, and I just never saw it?
No, I think they moved it up because there was one coming this way, but there
Yeah.
was one going
It
that way.
did match.
Yeah.
It was always 25 out of payments, but Jeremy said that they put one, came in
They
and
did.
put one out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Well, street department should be aware of this stuff.
Yeah, they're supposed to notify us, and I haven't seen it.
Say I never received any notification of it. They can dictate the speed limit there instead of us.
Yeah, on a state route.
State route.
That's why they don't have a stoplight out together.
They made it consistent.
Okay. There's nothing else. The next meeting is January 7th, 2012, at 7 p.m. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ralph?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.